and he will be sharing his experience of handling infectious bronchitis cases in parent stock and in broilers. With this, I request Dr. Ravila to share his screen and start the presentation.
Respected higher management, my seniors, my colleagues, dear doctors, and other concerned staff members. Today, I will share my practical field experiences of 30 years along with the experiences of my technical Benko team of North. During last 5 years, we have witnessed more than 50 cases of infectious bronchitis in the field in the areas of Haryana, Punjab, UP, Bihar, Uttarakhand, and Rajasthan. This disease is not new at all. Previously, I couldn't diagnose it. It recalled me the year of 1997 when I was posted at Jeend Lab. In broilers, I have seen bronchial plugs in second week during winter season, but I was not able to diagnose it and nobody declared it as IB. Now, my field work during 5 years taught me, and later I got it confirmed from PDRC Pune that the prevailing virus is of infectious bronchitis. It can be seen in layers, broilers, and breeders. Now, this is a highly contagious disease of viral origin. It has big challenge for prevention and control due to multiple serotypes. This should be noted. Because of multiple serotypes, it is a big challenge for all of us for prevention and control. Its prevalence is worldwide. More than 50 cases have been handled by us and our team in Haryana, Punjab, UP in North area. I have seen heavy economic losses to the farmers with high culling rate, and birds didn't achieve peak production and hatchability. They suffered heavily because of poor hatching egg selection of 80 to 88%, rough shelled eggs, misshapen eggs, soft shelled eggs, and no differentiation in thick and thin albumin. We have seen watery albumin in those commercial eggs. As far as concerned with the nature of the virus is simply single stranded RNA virus that can be inactivated at 56 degree for 15 minutes and at 45 degrees for 90 minutes. Outdoor survival is 12 days in spring and 56 days in winter. All commonly used disinfectants are quite effective. Now, signs and symptoms. This picture of chicks I have collected a few days back on 12th June of this month. Signs may be wet eyes, nasal discharge, but this is not so prominent. Mild coughing, mild sneezing, mild tracheal rales, and facial swellings had been seen with secondary bacterial complications. Incubation period is 18 to 36 hours and shedding of virus remains up to 1.5 months after recovery. Recovery period. This is very tragic. Once there is any outbreak to any breeder, then flocks they recover in 6 to 8 weeks or it may take more time, and production increase either 1-2% weekly, and it takes a lot of time and never attain the previous production. I have seen usually production goes down from 78 or 80 or 84% to 25% to 30%, and it may hardly recover to 65% or 70%. Poor hatching eggs up to 80% to 88%, and they remain same, no improvement at all, remains throughout life, and poor hatchability. I have seen even 62% hatchability in affected flock. It may be 60%, 70%, or maximum it is 82%. Also, was recorded culling percentage is quite high. As far as production is concerned, the just commencement of production, 27, 28 weeks, you will observe cull birds simultaneously, and this culling is on higher side. Moreover, chicks from those parents, they are very susceptible to diseases. And now this is very interesting case. We must take care on this. Early chicks mortality may be due to induced vaccine virus. Entry of virus through street virus and induced vaccine virus. This is very important. One should be keep in mind induced vaccine virus. Certain vaccines which I will discuss later on, even live vaccines of unmatched character, different origin, different brands, they cause disease. And I've seen 25 to 30%, even 50% of mortality in early chicks. And this mortality may persist for 6 weeks, and above 8 weeks it may be negligible. Early infection may lead to permanent damage of oviduct in laying stages. Dr. Harsha had been good involvement with us. He was involved with us earlier 2 to 3 years back. In one of the cases, there was permanent damage of oviduct and laying production was hardly peak 52%. It is frequently seen at farms where brooding and growing facilities are at the same premises. So one should be careful. One should be careful. Same premises should be avoided for brooding and growing, because if it gets infection at early stage, then this is very difficult to rectify it. Now PM findings. Horizontal hemorrhages on tracheal rings more prominent in lower region. We have seen this. These are horizontal hemorrhages. These are horizontal hemorrhages. These are horizontal hemorrhages. And these are more prominent in lower region. One should be keep in mind. These are very prominent in lower region, and you will also witness this bronchial plug. This I have collected all from field. Early exposure in chicks and broilers may lead to 20 to 50% mortality. Changes in pectoral muscles. You may witness these pictures I have taken from field. This is pectoral muscles and this is gelatinous mass. You can see gelatinous edema. Moreover, necrotic bands. Just see, these are necrotic bands on pectoral muscles. Usually they are bilateral on both sides. I have seen so many prominent cases, but this is not so prominent. I have seen necrotic bands. This is specific to IB. Moreover, this is the case I have collected a few days back. This is necrosis at keel bone on pectoral muscle. This was due to induced vaccine. One of our breeders used Fibro H120 vaccine at 1 day and he lost 12% of his flock of size 10,000 and now the flock is approximately 27 days. Changes in oviduct. Oviduct that may be atrophied, there may be cheesy metal in oviduct, fluid in oviduct. Any changes, you can atrophy fluid or cystic ovaries, cystic oviduct, then cystic ovaries. These are rare pictures I have collected from field, cystic ovaries. Cystic oviducts are very common, but cystic ovaries are not so common. This is hemorrhages in oviduct. Now, this is proventriculitis in enteric form of the virus. Proventriculitis can be seen in broilers. Nephritis can be seen in broilers. But one should be keep in mind, it should be differentiated from Gumboro. There is no involvement of bursa in infectious bronchitis. There is no involvement of horizontal hemorrhages on tracheal rings in Gumboro. So one can easily differentiate it. Now, there may be secondary complications in lungs, pneumonic lungs with secondary bacterial infections. Disease usually complicates with, I have seen, it doesn't come alone. IB doesn't come alone. It precipitate with Newcastle disease, E. coli, mycoplasma, infectious coryza, fowl cholera, ORT, ornithorhinotracheal infection, ILT. ILT, where live vaccine had been given, I have seen it complicates the cases. It is very difficult to treat those cases where live vaccine has been given. Now, this is ORT. This is a very interesting case. I have taken it from Safido area. ORT confirmation with specific feature. This is cranial swelling. If it is on one side, then that side of lung is also affected. If it is bilateral, then both lungs are affected. This is bilateral consolidation of lungs. Here, ORT confirmed with bilateral consolidation of lungs. I have collected it from Safido 3 years back. And this is unilateral consolidation of lungs. You can easily see this is consolidation of lungs. This lung is also affected. Here, one eye is affected. There is swelling on one side, and that side of lung is also affected. This is very interesting and specific in ORT. And ORT have the same lesions. It may show fresh blood in trachea, like ILT. Now, differentiation with Newcastle disease. You see, these are horizontal hemorrhages we witness in infectious bronchitis, but in case of ND, these are longitudinal hemorrhages. These are longitudinal hemorrhages. Moreover, this is on upper part of the trachea, and horizontal hemorrhages, they are on lower part of the trachea. I have seen many cases in which both infections have been precipitated, then both symptoms, both PM findings I have observed. This is very interesting and very easy to diagnose. I assure all of you, you will be able to diagnose it easily through trachea. Now, differential diagnosis with infectious laryngotracheitis. It has slow spread, respiratory signs. More fresh blood can be seen in trachea, and I have seen dried blood streaks at the corners of beak and nostrils. Scattered blood, mild scattered blood that was not so prominent. But I have seen dried blood streaks at the corners of the beak and nostrils. When I sent samples to PDRC Pune, then I came to conclusion this is not a street virus. By gene sequences, we concluded this is a vaccine virus. And after knowing this, our whole team with efforts, we decided to remove it because it has complicated so many cases. Then we replaced it with killed vaccines and subsequently with use of killed vaccine by 2 or 3 years when then we removed totally and there was no need of even killed vaccine. This we have done in the areas of Safido. Now differential diagnosis with infectious coryza. There are more facial swellings. EDS, there is some specific thing in EDS, no effect on internal egg quality. Otherwise, production declines and poor shell quality. Now, strategies for prevention of disease. Disease control, no effective treatment. Once flock is affected, it is very difficult to rectify it. We can give broad spectrum antibiotics for secondary bacterial infections, higher levels of vitamin D, 4000 international unit to 10,000. Separate. Now we should take care on this aspect. We should carry separate brooding and growing facilities away from the laying unit. Maximum cases have been witnessed where brooding and growing facilities have been at the same premises. There should be adequate air circulation in brooding, stock density with adequate space and air circulation. Stock density with adequate space and circulation is must. And early vaccination of IB live and killed that is required at first day or 2 to 3 days. This is a vaccination schedule we have adopted after suffering a lot. IB H120 first day I dropped BH Bro MN, that is IB multi-killed vaccine at the name of BH Bro MN, that is given at 3 to 5 days subcut 0.25 ml per bird, and IB mass 7 to 10 days eye drop or drinking water. Then IB multi-killed at the name of BH Bro MN and IB mass can be given at 4th and 5th day. Then BH Bro MN at 12th week along with IB mass. But here one should be careful. Live vaccine at 12th week is not recommended in those flocks where multi-age flocks are there. We should avoid it. We should postpone it. We should prepone it to 8 to 10 weeks. And never to be given at laying stages. Then it should be given at 20 weeks and at every 8 intervals. I had a strong discussion with Dr. Chawak, Dr. Santosh Deshpande, Dr. Sanjay Gawakre, Dr. Prakash Reddy, even Dr. Harsha. Then I concluded in North, we have developed at 8 weeks interval to prevent this disease. In peak and summers, peak winters and peak summers, we have adopted the theory of 8 weeks, and other periods it is 10 to 12 weeks. Again, IB mass at 12 weeks should be avoided in multi-age flocks. Now, we have so many case studies. Some are in my mind. In year 2015, when we have seen first case, along with Dr. Avinash Khalnikar, AGM at Gene. Then We have seen broilers were reared at the same premises in which 14,000 link breeder flock and hatchery unit was there. No IV live vaccine or killed vaccine has been given. Disease started after 21 days and there was mortality of 64%. So after vacanting, after remove the flock, then it was kept vacant for 6 months, and then this schedule has been followed: IBH120 at 0 day, Lasota plus IB 21 days. Then successfully he was able to market the flock at then an average of 2.4 kg. Second case, same breeder unit of 8,000, hatchery unit was also there. He reared broilers of 18,000. No IV vaccine had been given. This was the case in January 2016, and previous was the case of December 2015. And by adopting all those measures, we could save in future. In this case, mortality was of 44% and disease started after 24 days. Next, this is recent case I have seen on 12th June of this month at the Rajasthan border. This is the picture of chick. This is bronchial plug. These are nephritis, kidneys are affected, and these are horizontal hemorrhages on lower side. And you see this is specific posture and specific feature of IB. Farmer has given ND plus IB multi-killed at 7th day. So he could survive. Now mortality is up to 12%. No IB live vaccine had been given to the birds. Case study 4, in the year 2017, there was flock of 7,000. Production dropped from 76% to 32% in 14 days. It happened in Punjab. At the age of 32 weeks, mortality 12.5%, drop in hatching eggs from 90% to 78%, and there was drop in hatchability from 87% to 62%. Very poor recovery in production up to 52%, hatchability up to 72%, and hatching egg selection was 82%. Situation of the farmer was worst. Then, with the efforts of Dr. Sodhi, Dr. Rakesh Gupta, Dr. Chawak, Dr. Avinas, we have given a different schedule, and now he has no problem at all in next flocks. Case 25, it happened in the year 2018. There were 3 flocks of size 5,000 of age 27 weeks, 37 weeks and 56 weeks. Then mortality started at 27 weeks old flock and subsequently in 37 weeks and 56 weeks. Mortality was higher on 27 weeks old flock, less in 37 and least in 56 weeks old. There was drop in hatching eggs from 92% to 81%, production dropped 79% to 32%, and mortality 12%. In subsequent flocks, ND plus IB multi-killed at 25th week introduced, because we do 4-way at 20 or 21 weeks, then it was given additional, and then at every 8-week intervals, IB multi-killed vaccine had been given. Then the farmer suffered no IB problem at all. Practical tips for disease prevention. This is very interesting. I request you kindly listen it carefully, because I have been able to develop disease-free and antibiotic-free flocks of big sizes. First I did in 1995 at Bajaj Poultry Farm. He may have a capacity of 2.5 lakhs or 2 lakhs layer flocks. Then on probiotics understanding, we could remove all antibiotics from his farm. He used to spend 1 lakh rupees per month on antibiotics, and afterwards his expenses on antibiotics is list. Then we can use Aviflora 62.5 gram per 1000 birds as oral drops on first day like vaccine. This is multiple strains of probiotics and they are very effective. I've seen it, I did it. They are very effective and they can be repeated after 6 weeks, then 8 weeks intervals. They are very effective because they will synthesize natural antibiotics in the birds like lecithin, lactophilin, acidophilin, acidoline, and certain enzymes, B complexes. This is very effective, very effective. Birds will show immune system very strong. Then proper care on micro environment of chicks during brooding period. This is the most ignorant factor. Brooding period is most ignorant factor and especially oxygen level available to chicks. Nobody bothers it. I have specially purchased oxygen meter for this and separate awareness program during brooding period, especially in winter season. In winter season, curtains are closed, there is no air circulation. Then I've suggested, our whole team have suggested there should be some small exhaust fans for air circulation. Then we should take care on relative humidity, proper temperature, adequate light and space, good quality water and proper approach to chicks. Water is available, water is good quality water is there, but sometimes approach to chicks is not proper. So we should take care. Otherwise, I have seen so many cases in field where gout was due to deprivation of water, and that was a management, and it especially happens in winter season. Then valence feed formulations. Valence feed formulations, I would like to suggest one thing. We should take care on sodium level. This is also one of the ignorant feature. People don't use good quality of salt. We should use good quality of salt with balanced feed formulations. And I stress one interesting thing which I learned with time. Avoid any coccicidal drugs during brooding ration in case of layers and breeders. I've seen practices of people, so many feed millers of our own people, they think least about it. There must be coccidiosis, coccistatic drugs in layers and breeders because there is rule. Stages of Eimeria, merozoites, trophozoites, sporozoites, Saigon 1, Saigon 2, stages and species, different species of Eimeria. Stage to stage and species to species immunity is must for coccidiosis prevention program, and that can be developed by use of coccidiostatic drugs. So I request all of you kindly use DOT only in layers and breeder rations during brooding phase. There are certain bad practices or abuses to the birds which I have seen in the field, and we are on constant efforts to remove this abuse through awareness program. Mixing of multiple brands and strains like H120, MA5, 4-91 given at first day in drinking water or eye drops. This is a abuse. This is an abuse. We should recognize it and we should remove it through awareness program. Use of another abuse is use of IV live vaccine during laying period. This is not recommended at all. If we do these two practices, then what will happen? We will get early chicks mortality with immunosuppression. I have seen so many cases. I've seen so many cases in which farmers have destroyed their flocks. Mortality 20%, 30%, 50% due to ignorance. So constant need of awareness program is required. Otherwise, such practice will be prevailing. If we do so, early chicks mortality with immunosuppression, culling with onset of production, not achieving peak production, hatching eggs and hatchability, and there may be false layers. We have seen so many cases. Now, proper vaccination in accordance with history. Before arrival of chicks, one should be very aware. One should be careful about the history, disease prevalence in that area, and we should give proper vaccination schedule. And schedule should be followed strictly as given by VH Group with a slogan, our birds, our vaccines, no compromise at any cost. Now, I'm highly thankful to Dr. Harsha, who has recognized my work and given me an opportunity on this platform. I'm also highly thankful to my North technical team along with our zonal head, Dr. S.P. Singh, and I name my doctors dedicated to their work, Dr. Avinash Kalnekar, his AGM at Jind, Safido, Haryana, and looks after so many areas after me. Dr. Paramjit Singh, he looks after Punjab and Himachal Pradesh. Dr. Dilip Gupta, UP, Bihar, and Uttarakhand, along with Dr. Jitendra Chauhan. He looks after Uttarakhand, he is based at Bareilly and western part of UP. Dr. Dr. Shashikant Chauhan, he looks after Sonipat, Panipat, Karnal, Kurukshetra, Kaithal, Ambala area and adjoining belts of UP. I am specially and highly thankful to our sportive team of Dr. Rakesh Gupta, who is PDRC head at Panchkula, Dr. Virmani, Dr. Danveer Singh, Dr. Netrapal Singh, and also we get a lot of inspiration and technical coordination and support for disease diagnosis with Dr. Chawak, Dr. Santosh Deshpande, Dr. Sanjay Gwakre, Dr. Prakash Reddy, and Dr. Harsha for time to time. Whenever I see any case of IV, I get consult to so many people. What should I do? What should I do? Because my main object is how to save him. What can I do? What can we do? Mr. Deepak Khosla, H.S. Padda, and Sashi Bhushan for making timely availability of vaccines and cooperation to the farmers. Thank you very much for listening me carefully.
Thank you, Dr. Rohila. We have given a chat option below. Someone may take their cursor below, then chat option will be there. Any question they want to ask, they can type the question. Then I can read out those questions and we will open it for discussion. Now I request Dr. Chavak, Dr. Prakash Reddy, and Dr. Rakesh Gupta to join for discussion. It will take a minute for me to unmute you and open your videos. Please bear with me for a minute. I request Dr. Danveer also to start his video and unmute himself. Dr. Danveer, please. I request Dr. Rakesh Gupta. I request Dr. Rakesh Gupta to unmute and start his video. हाँ, गुड आफ्टरनून। ठीक है, आप कौन से नाम पे हैं? एडमिनिस्ट्रेटर, वहाँ 3-4 एडमिनिस्ट्रेटर हैं। एडमिनिस्ट्रेटर गेस्ट बोल के, 1 मिनट। अनम्यूट आ गया क्या आपको? देखिए, आ गया ना? ठीक है।
Hello,
Uh,
are you hearing, sir? Yeah, Rakesh Gupta, are you hearing, sir?
yes, I'm able to hear your voice.
Hello.
Yes, I'm.
Yeah. Thank you, Dr. Rohila, Are you hearing, sir? Everybody?
Yes, sir.
You can
Hello.
your comments.
Yeah. Thank you, Dr. Rohila, for your very practical and regarding the problem and solutions. We at North with you, we have seen so many cases and have concluded the IV infection. So many cases from breeders. One of the most important lesions you have shown, like cystic oviduct, but we have seen in many cases the cheesy material in oviduct. Sometimes it starts with cheesy material, and sometimes it starts with gout also in growing stage. I have seen one case in Punjab where at 12 to 13 weeks it started with gout, and when it came to lay at 25 to 26th week of age, it started showing cystic oviduct, and the production never went up to 52%. And similarly in commercial broilers, even in our own integration, we started getting cases of nephritis after 28 days of age. Very severe nephritis. All the other things were ruled out like mycotoxin and other viral infections. So we sent the sample to PDRC Pune and it was confirmed to be IB. Then we started on those flocks. IB killed vaccine at day 1 and it gave very good results. We didn't get any nephritis after that. So that was proven that the problem was with IB. And regarding one more, as Dr. Rahila told, regarding coccicidal and coccidostatic drugs. But in my opinion, I may be wrong, that for the replacement flocks, means those birds which are to be shifted to the cages from deep litter, they can be given coccicidal drugs. If you want to keep throughout on deep litter, then the immunity is required for coccidiosis. Then we can use DOT. It is my opinion. I may be wrong. Anybody can give their opinion. That's all, sir. Thank you.
I request
Thank you, sir.
Danveer. I request Dr. Danveer to give, because he has got a lot of experiences. He has seen IB cases. I request him to give his comments. Dr. Danveer, please. Dr. Danveer, please. Okay, there seems to be some problem with this link. I request Dr. Prakash Reddy to give his experiences.
Thank you very much, sir. First of all, I congratulate Rohila sir for sharing his valuable experience in most of the. He has got a lot of experience in different disease control programs, but in especially in IB, definitely he has gone further ahead in identifying and curing the, in the sense, adapting a control measures. Yeah, to add up to this, see, actually, as I always say, whenever the question of IB comes, there is lack of awareness regarding two different things. One is regarding the disease itself, because we most of the time fail in identifying these particular organisms. See, we will be hunting around the bush most of the time. As one simple example, like what Rohila Saab revealed, is some of the cystic oviduct cases or some of the nephritis cases during the laying time, or some of the cases of myopathies which are happening, okay, in the during the later stage. So in these cases, if you go for identifying IB in these cases, if you take the samples, definitely you will fail. That is where we fail in identifying in such sort of, as it has been clearly revealed. But whenever there is early infections from the first 3 weeks or 4 weeks of age, if there is a damage to the oviducts, in the early stage. It will lead to cystic oviducts in the later part of the, when it comes to laying, by the accumulation of the fluids, where the isthmus may be blocked. That is what fibrosis might have happened, which had led to the accumulation of fluid, or certain amount of time oviduct impactions may be there. So such sort of complications you will see there. If you go for identifying IB in those cases at that time, definitely we will fail. At that time, we will be hunting around the bush saying that it is not IB, it is not related to IB. So that is where, even in the commercial layers, if you ask a question to any of the commercial layer flocks who are dealing with that, they will never accept that IB is a problem. So especially the CRD complications, maybe they will be relating it to the mycoplasmas or the E. coli complications, which is leading to the CRD. But basic, which is triggering factors, if you take the examples from the complicated cases, we will be failing to identify these organisms, as it was clearly told that it is a single-stranded RNA virus, which is very delicate. If you take one simple example of vaccines, we tell the vaccines, if you are using in drinking water, it should see that the bird is consuming the vaccine within half an hour to 45 minutes, not more than that, because after that it will lose the titers. There is a titer loss, because we will, in the sense, the virus gets degraded. So when it is for sampling also, if the samples are not collected in the right time, in the right birds, and reaching the lab for identification, we will be failing in identifying. So these are all some of the things where we get confused, and we identify these organisms, and this thing. The second major thing I would like to highlight is about the serotypes or the genotypes which are prevalent. Most of the time, people, when it is cystic oviducts, they say that it is more related to the QX, but it is nothing like that. The organisms, the genotypes which are prevalent in India, that is the GI24 lineage. So those are the organisms which is causing all this. Today, Royal Sahab highlighted about the myopathies, which most of the people around the world lack. This particular myopathy is a problem in some of the strains, serotypes available in the other country. Maybe whether our strain of GI24 has changed to cause such sort of lesions causing myopathies is my question, which is really new thing, which we need to address also, such sort of thing. Definitely the cystic oviduct cases or the nephritis cases, the proventriculitis cases, we are able to identify the organisms which is responsible for that, and early vaccinations are definitely helping, as experienced by Royal Sahab and other northern Rakesh Gupta Sahab and other people. Even Dr. Danveer Sahab has got a lot of success by early vaccination with the IB multi-strains. So this is my feedback. So thank you very much, sir, for giving an opportunity to come.
Thank you, Dr. Prakash. I request Dr. Danveer to give his views or share his experiences. Dr. Danveer, please. Dr. Danveer. Dr. Danveer, can you hear me? Dr. Danveer? Dr. Danveer, can you hear me? Okay, I request Dr. Gaukare.
Something is problematic.
Dr. Sanjay Gaukare,
Hello.
give his views.
Hello.
Yes, Dr. Sanjay, we can hear.
Hello.
वो पता नहीं क्या
Yeah.
बिल्कुल
Yeah.
खाली है बिल्कुल वो आ ही नहीं रही आवाज ही नहीं जा रही मैं बोल रहा हूँ वो आवाज नहीं आ रही
Okay, Dr. Danveer, now.
Hello. Hello.
Sanjay Gaokar.
पता नहीं कुछ something is
Yeah.
wrong in the line. I don't know.
Yeah, hello.
Yes.
As
मैं कोशिश कर रहा हूँ लगातार जुड़ने की.
Yeah.
ठीक.
see, now almost the subject has been discussed a lot. So let me just add some points in that. See, now we are these problems, particularly the IB problems, it is now more driven to the consultant problem now. So more complicated wrong diagnosis will trigger into the different patterns, and maybe we are now at the verge of the experiencing the new strains, as many people are practicing the.
folder class में करेंगे ना ऐसा.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, please go ahead.
Yeah, so many people are trying for a different vaccination, complex vaccination schedule with the different strains. Maybe we get some imported strains or strains which are not required in our country. But this is the situation, and we have to tackle this. And particularly the cystic ovary type of the infection, definitely, as Prakash has rightly said, it should be curtailed in the first week itself. Not only the first week, in first 2 days itself, first 3 days itself. So one has to give the attention to vaccinate the frog as early as possible. Before 3 days, 4 days, that vaccine will help to reduce the problems later part of the life.
तो आप उसमें जब ब्रीडर में आप सर्वेन यूज
Our
कर सकते
little
हो, why not in
judicious use
CVF
of
में
the vaccines,
शुरू से
but
लेके
the
आगे
live vaccines has been more promoted now, and we are now as a
ये
part of that biological system. We have to get some new strains also in the system, but one has to give a very judicial vaccination schedule, that way to avoid the further more complication with the new strains.
मैं अभी करता हूँ सर.
And we have well equipped with whatever the situation, whatever the demand for the market, it is there. When it will be there with the PDRC, will definitely come with the solution. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Sanjay Gaokare. I request Dr. Chavak to give his views, then we will go to question and answer. Yes, Dr. Saab, please.
Can you hear me, sir?
We can hear you. Please go ahead.
Yeah. In fact, Dr. Rohila has given very nice presentation, and also a lot has been said regarding IB incidence and diagnosis. My view is more attempts need to be carried out for isolation of IB virus, because at present there are very few isolations of IB from north, and still we can attempt some more. The virus is moreover like we can say a variant of nephropathic IB virus, and not like a QX strain. That is one point. And particularly in broiler breeders, wherever the problem is persistent, we can give as early as 2 to 3 days vaccination, field vaccine, so that to prevent the incidence in adults. That is the major issue.
Dr. Chavak, is your session, is your views over or some more left? You're not audible.
Yes, to unmute, sir.
You are not audible.
He's muted, sir.
You have muted yourself. You have muted your hand. Now it's okay.
Yeah, it's over, sir.
It's over.
If any question is there, we can always answer.
Yeah, there are questions. I will read out all the questions now. This question is from Dr. Ravindranath Reddy G. What is the differential diagnosis between the ORT and swollen head syndrome? Dr. Roila, please, you unmute yourself. Please unmute yourself and reply the question. What is the differential diagnosis between ORT and swollen head syndrome?
Yes, this is very simple. In swollen head syndrome, there is least involvement of lungs. I told one thing, there may be unilateral or bilateral swelling of cranial region. And that side, if it is unilateral, then that side of lung is affected. And if it is bilateral, then both lungs are affected. Moreover, in swollen head syndrome, it is never alone. It precipitated with so many other bacteria and viruses. So simply we can diagnose it on the basis of lungs and cranial swelling. Cranial swelling is not seen in swollen head.
Next,
Dr. Reddy?
Yeah, next question from Dr. Ravindranath Reddy. I have seen a case of nephrogenic form in breeders at 15th week of age with about a 20 mortality per day.
Yes.
Reaching a peak of 80 to 120 mortality per day. And the mortality is still continuing with the 40 mortality per day. Currently, flock is at 49 weeks. The question is, how many weeks the mortality continues in nephrogenic form?
Yes, yes, very interesting. Dr. Reddy, I want to know his vaccination schedule. He must have given some different vaccines other than VH group. He must have given some different vaccines, or his older flock have been exposed. And this will persist throughout life. I tell you, you will observe more culls, less hatching egg percentage. Once flock is affected, it is very difficult to rectify it. So select them, those birds which are cull, market them. So rest of the birds will lay, but still shedding of virus will continue, and it will also affect other flocks. So it is very difficult to rectify it. Are you satisfied, doctor?
No, because I have not given permission for anyone else to unmute.
Okay. Okay.
Hear your thing. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, doctor.
If I have to understand, what you said is that this flock might have been exposed to the infection because older flocks were there in the same farm. Once it is exposed in the early ages, plus they might have done vaccine, some imported vaccine.
Yes.
The exposure to outside, whatever the field virus is there, plus the vaccine which they have used from outside, have mixed up and created this mess. And in all probabilities, this problem will continue till the end of the flock. Is that your answer?
I want to add one thing more.
Please.
If IB killed vaccine have not been given properly to the older flocks, then it may also be one of the causes.
Okay. Thank you, doctor. There's a next question. Can we use coccidial during a grower phase in breeders? I
This is not,
suppose
फोन
when
करून
you say
सांगून घे सामान.
coccidiostat in feed during growing phase in, I take the liberty of answering this question.
I just tell you one thing. I have a lot of experience regarding this. Whenever I got cases of Marek's disease, I got cases of cyclic enteric infections. Then in lab, I confirmed oocyst in laying stages. Then when I analyzed the history which was used, then I found it was a coccicidal drugs given during brooding or growing period. Then I concluded and learned it should not be given. There is basic one principle, stage to stage and species to species, immunity is must. Thank you.
Okay. Next question is, is IB live vaccine recommended in a layer bird during laying period? Probably he meant in commercial layers.
Not at all.
So you don't recommend it at all?
Not at all, because I tell you one thing, people don't observe it. I have observed it. If you recommend or if you gave live vaccine during laying period, then selection of the eggs will be reduced. You need minute observations regarding egg selection, internal egg quality, and that will also affect the other flocks, younger flocks. So it is not recommended at all. In order to ruin our industry, so many consultants, so many imported companies, we should have careful observation, all of them. We should develop some awareness programs. We should have some targets. This is not a disease which can be easily rectified. It is very difficult. I have seen so many people tuning in this disease. So we must be careful.
Next question is, how to distinguish between aspergillosis and IB infection in early life, first or a second week of age?
Aspergillosis, you will see nodules there in, very easy. Who asked this question?
Dr. Prashant Pandey.
Okay. Okay, very easy to diagnose it. Because there is no involvement of any kidneys, air sacs, you will have some nodules. No nodule is seen in IB.
Next question. It is not related to IB. How successful is molting in affected flock?
Not at all. No result at all. I have seen so many cases because they didn't follow me. Some breeders, they didn't follow me. And afterwards, after 6 months, they said at telephone, Dr. Saab, you were right. Okay, no, there is no improvement at all. So it is not recommended at all.
Next question is it okay to give 2 live vaccines, that is IB and Lasota together at,
yes, you can give,
at early age of between 1 to 3 weeks?
Oh, no problem at all. I have given so many cases in broilers, in layers, so many cases. No problem at all. But in multi-age flocks, care must be there. Multi-age flocks, where brooding and growing is carried out at the same premises of laying, it should be avoided. Maximum on-killed vaccines or mild IV vaccine.
This question is to Dr. Prakash Reddy. In broiler breeders, as far as ILT is concerned, do you recommend a live vaccine or killed vaccine? Dr. Prakash Reddy, please.
Hello. Yes, sir. Actually, when the ILT is going on, it is not recommended to give any of the live vaccine. Okay. Usually, when the ILT outbreaks are happening, if you use any of the live vaccines or any stress, it will aggravate the problems. So that is, it is not recommended. So,
Please,
as Royal sir,
please increase the volume of your voice, please, doctor.
hello.
We can give
During
ILT.
During ILT, during the incidence of ILT going up, none of the live vaccines are recommended, sir. There definitely, if it is an unvaccinated ILT, unvaccinated flock, you can go with. If it is a first exposure to ILT, then definitely the ILT vaccines can be done, as it is a slow spreading disease, if it is confirmed. Otherwise, no other live vaccines are recommended when ILT is aggravating.
Next question is to Dr. Rakesh Gupta. Is the IB strain causing cystic ovary in layers different from that of broiler breeders? I repeat the question. IB strain which causes cystic ovary in layers, is it different from the IB strain which causes cystic ovary in broiler breeders? Dr. Rakesh Gupta, please.
He is mute, sir. He is muted.
Rakesh Gupta, please unmute yourself. I have given permission. Dr. Rakesh Gupta, I have given permission for you to unmute. Please unmute.
Yeah. Am I audible now? Hello?
Did you hear the question?
Hello?
Yes, yes, we
Yeah,
can.
am I audible?
Yes, audible. Did you hear the question?
Once again, can you? Once again?
What is the difference between IB strain which causes cystic oviduct in layers and cystic oviduct in breeders?
Sir, as far as the commercial layers are concerned, very few problem is there, very less problem is there as compared to the broiler breeders. We have seen most of the problems in our broiler breeders only, and in commercial layers the problem is very less, very less. You will not find many of the cases of cystic oviducts in commercial layers.
What could be the reason?
Maybe the use of some vaccines they are doing in growing period. Cases are very less, sir, in commercial layers. You will not find as such the lesions of cystic oviduct.
Sir.
Hello.
Okay. I'll go for the next question.
Yeah.
Incidence of cystic ovaries and confirmed cases of IB means whether all the incidents of cystic ovaries are related to IB. There's a question.
To me, sir?
Yes, yes.
No, I think it should not happen. Everything should not be related to IB. The cystic ovary, you can get the cystic oviducts in some certain unknown toxins also. sometimes. Cystic ovaries, rather. And certain toxins also. I think after proper sampling and proper isolation, one should relate it to the IB, cystic ovaries, after confirmation only.
This question is to Dr. Rohila. The colorless fluid seen in cystic ovaries, what could be the reason? If in the follicles, if colorless fluid is seen, what could be the reason? Dr. Rohila, please. Doctor, please unmute. Dr. Rohila, please unmute. Yes, please go ahead.
I don't know.
You do not know.
Yes. Dr. Prakash Reddy or others can reply it.
Colorless fluid in the follicles in cystic ovary cases, what does it mean?
As Rakesh Gupta sir told, it may be due to several reasons. It may be due to toxins also, a lot of effect on the ovary. The cystic itself is a cystic fluids, that is the accumulation of the fluid. Yeah, more of the inflammatory fluid. Yeah.
There's a next question to Dr. Rohila.
Yes.
When AV Flora was given, whether mycoplasma treatment was given at that time?
No, not at all.
Only AV Flora was given, right?
Yes, yes. I did it in small flock, single flock of 5,000.
So without mycoplasma treatment or without mycoplasma prevention program, you have given only AV Flora to that flock.
Yes, yes, yes.
Do you observe any mycoplasma infection in that flock?
Not at all.
Okay. Next question. In Gujarat, it is common to advise MA5 plus clone therapy by consultants. Please comment.
It's their choice, sir. Either they suffer or they are likely to be suffered. No choice at all.
Okay. Next question is, we are finding hairline egg breakages in young layers. Is it related to IB? First we will find star-like position on egg and then small holes on eggs. Is it related to IB?
No, there may be so many cases. There may be so many causes. You simply do postmortem, study trachea, hemorrhages, then kidneys, then oviduct, cystic ovaries, etc. on pectoral muscles. But have been shown in my presentation. You can correlate with them. Otherwise, this is not necessary because I have seen so many cases with organic chelates, with disproportionate trace minerals, with phosphorus deficiency, with calcium imbalance. These cases are seen. Only this one factor is not conclusive at all. We should study feed formulations, special on calcium, phosphorus, and trace minerals.
Okay.
And if there any enteric infection is there, then we should check enteric infection first.
Is Dr. Chawak available there? I'm not able to see him. Dr. Chavak, please. Yes. Okay, he's there. Chavak sir, please unmute. Okay.
Yeah, I have already unmuted.
Okay. I request you to give.
Please tell me.
Yeah, I request you to give your final concluding remarks, sir. Dr. Chavak, please.
Yes, sir. One thing is very clear, that lot of studies need to be done in regards to isolation of the virus. Okay, we are getting a lot of lesions, symptoms. Okay, but for the prevention measures, particularly isolation is very much required. And after isolation only, we can go further for the serotyping and other things, so that proper preventive measures can be adopted. That is very important. And we should collect the sample at appropriate time, so that isolations will be more. That is most important, sir. Otherwise, okay, lesions, we are getting lesions, that is fine. It's okay, sir.
Yeah. Dr. Chavak, there is a question. Can you throw some light on?
Yeah.
Can you throw some light on strains of IB virus causing cystic oviduct in AP coastal area?
Sir, so far we have not done any isolation from Andhra Pradesh, that is particularly coastal area. But we have got isolation from north, from the cases of cystic oviduct. If you can send the sample, if somebody sends the samples from Andhra Pradesh, we can always guide him how to send the samples and how to collect the samples, etc. Then we will be able to isolate, and then only we can serotype the IB virus. But in North India, particularly, we did lot of attempts, and then we could succeed isolating and serotyping the virus, as well as sequencing of the virus has been done. And it was found that it was not QX-like strain, but it was a variant of nephropathogenic strain. So that's why I said attempts need to be done for isolation from cystic oviduct cases.
Okay. Two more questions. To Dr. Chavak, this question is, in ovarian follicles, if watery whitish fluid is seen, what is the reason?
Sir, there could be many reasons. It can be even salmonella, incidence of salmonella also, we can get such kind of lesions. Or even in case of some toxins also, we can get such kind of lesions.
This is the last question, I think, to Dr. Rohila. How to diagnose false layers?
How to diagnose?
False layer. And
Simply,
and what to do with those birds?
there are certain observations. First, posture, penguin posture. Second, if you see abdomen, then it will be very hard. Then the cloaca, if you see cloaca, then you will see it is circular in shape instead of oval, and its diameter is very small. And if we conduct postmortem of such healthy birds, we will get no oviduct at all. I have seen. On this basis, we can isolate and market them. We can't rectify them.
Okay. I request Dr. Chavak to continue. Dr. Chavak, please. Dr. Chavak, please. Okay. I think he seems to have lost his line. So we come to the end of the session today. I thank Dr. Raila. He has shared his field experience of almost 30 years. The confidence with which Dr. Raila could explain this problem, what he has seen and how he has handled, it shows the kind of a sincere effort that he puts in visiting the flocks, in giving proper suggestions. And another observation of mine with the Dr. Rohila is, moment he is not able to diagnose the case in the farm or on the postmortem table, very first thing he does is he collects sample and sends it to Pune or sends it to Panchkula lab for further testing. This is a one thing I request every field veterinarian to adopt. Sometime, even if you are able to do a diagnosis on the postmortem table, there could be some hidden infections which we are not able to see through our naked eyes. It's always advisable that we keep sending samples to labs so that we will have a more clearer picture. And if there is any multifactorial cases or the causes for the problem in the flock, it becomes easy for us to understand, and that will become a guideline when we face a similar problem in future. And I request everyone to do this, especially the younger veterinarians who are in the field. Further, I request all the senior veterinarians in the field and the lab to share their different experiences of handling maybe a particular disease or a particular case, so that it will be useful for the rest of the team members. Our next presentation will be probably at the end of this week or a beginning of next week by Dr. Rakesh Gupta. He will be speaking on his experience of handling a case of histomoniasis. Thanks. Thanks everyone for attending the webinar. We will be ending it. Before ending that, I will open a pooling. I'll launch a pool. There are 4 questions. You all can answer this and you can quit the webinar. If you see your window, you can see the questions coming up. You can answer the questions. Once you are through with answering all the 4 questions, you may quit the meeting. It looks like total 56 people have answered the questions given. So I'm ending the poll. Results are shared. You can see the results on your window. About 57% of the people say that IV is a serious problem in their area. As far as PS, parent shock, is concerned, 43 people say that they have recorded less than 50 cases. Only one says that he has recorded more than 100 cases of IB in parent stock in 1 year. And in commercial areas, one person says more than 100 cases, two people say 50 to 100, about 40% people say about less than 50 cases, and about 55% of the people say nil, they have not seen any cases. IB in layers. And in broilers, 60% say nil, about 32% say less than 50, 4% says up to 100, 5% says more than 100 cases of IB. Thank you all. I'm ending the meeting.